Stand in front of your closet for a moment. Not to pick an outfit, just look at it. Somewhere in there, there's a version of you that doesn't fit anymore. Not your clothes, but you. Maybe it's the blazer and the way that it made you feel when you wore it. Or maybe it's the way that you used to look at your reflection and you knew exactly who she was, that woman that knew exactly where she was headed. You recognized her. Now you catch that same reflection and you're not certain anymore. You pause for an extra second, maybe even more. That pause is what this video is about. Not because there's anything wrong with you, my friend, but because right there's something that has probably been trying to get your attention for a while. So today, we agree, we listen, and we dive in. By the end of this video, you'll have a full plan, a full method that can help you get back to that place. Not a pep talk, although I can do that too, but a path, a real plan on how to get there. Here's the thing that I want us to think about as women over 50 in this magnificent stage of life. You're not broken, you're conditioned. And those two things are different. Those are different problems with different solutions. Things that are broken get fixed, but things that are conditioned just require a little relearning, retraining. Every role that you've played, the good mom, the strong one, the problem solver, the one that was there for everybody when they called, those are roles that you learned, that I learned. And by default, since we learned those roles, that means that somewhere there is that version of us, the authentic version of us intact and still yours, still available. So this video is for all of us that want to get back to that place. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Maria Martinez and this is the Inner Authority Project. On this channel, we talk about all things identity and reinvention and inner authority for women over 50. This channel was made especially for us women over 50 who know we don't need external validation. We don't need to be reminded of who we need to become during this stage of life. We might just need a little gentle nudge here and there to remind us that we have the tools and that we have what it takes to become who we're meant to be. On this video, I want to give you a full method. I call it actually a she method that will give us a layout, a plan to get to that place. Nothing super outrageous, nothing too complicated, just a method. 3 different stages, 7 steps across those stages, and step by step you'll be building into a sustainable program that can help reinvent yourself. It's 3 steps or stages within this model, the she model, and S stands for shedding. The H stands for hearing ourselves. And the E stands for emerging through actions and not just through insights. We're going to walk through every single one of them because my goal is to help model this pattern that can empower you as well as every other woman over 50 that come across this video that is also on that journey to rediscover and to reinvent themselves. If you're ready, let's start shedding. The first stage of the she method is about releasing. The S stands for shedding or letting go of what isn't yours. Now, what does that mean, right? We must first name exactly what it is that we're letting go of. And that is key here because we can shed what we don't name or we can change what we don't acknowledge, right? You probably have heard me say that before. The good mom, the strong one, the reliable one, the one that was always there to put everything together, or in my case, the one that always kept the peace. This is the reality. I had a conversation with a friend of mine not too long ago, a magnificent and amazing woman who had a great sense of identity through all the things that she did for her family and her coworkers and her loved ones. And nothing wrong with that. However, one day I noticed she was so overwhelmed with everything that was happening in her life that I sat her down and I said, let me ask you something. She knows what I do and she knows the way that I look at life, right? And I'm a little further ahead in my reinvention than she is. But I asked her, who are you when you put aside all of the things that you do for other people? And interestingly enough, she sat there and she just looked at me. And as the seconds, which appeared to be an infinity, went by, her eyes started to get watery and she just genuinely couldn't answer. She looked at me and couldn't tell me who she was outside of all of these other things that she did for everyone in her life. That was her genuine response. And she couldn't answer, not because she didn't know herself, but because she had spent 30 plus years of her life doing that, being all things to all people. And friend, I'm here to ask, name exactly what it is that you're letting go of. It's really vital because we cannot move forward with this process until we name exactly what we want to let go of. Name it out loud if you need to, but come to terms with that. For me, was about no longer being the person that had to keep it all together for everybody. I have grown amazing human beings. I have performed a great role within my work environment. I am a mentor to a lot of people, and yet I came to terms with the fact that I was no longer going to be the one that kept it all together for everybody. And it was very eye-opening. It was a great first step. If you need to pause the video at this point, I invite you to do that. Or if you want to go along and follow with a guide that you can download from the comment section right now, feel free to do that, because that is the first part of the homework, the first part of the assignment. The second step is to grieve what's ending. You've heard me talk a lot about grieving that version of ourselves that we no longer are. And here is what I find that a lot of other people in the reinvention space miss when they give advice. And that is, we're often so focused on that version, that new version of ourselves. Yes, I'm here. I've let go of everything and this is the new me. Yay, new chapter. Well, that's all fine and good and that's important. I support you if you're in that phase. Yet, I want to bring something to your awareness because I don't want to do that. I want to first pause to allow space for grieving who that was. Nothing wrong with sitting with our feelings for a moment to say, wow, look at everything that I have done so far. Look at the woman that did all of those things for everybody else. Why? Because we must recognize her. All of those achievements, all of those milestones shaped who we are today. So it's okay to mourn her. That version of you who is ending deserves to be honored and recognized and celebrated. So this is step number 2. Grieve what is ending, sit with it, and be okay with it before we proceed. And step 3 within the shedding first stage of the She method, and it is releasing the story that isn't yours. Now, important here to be really assertive about separating the things that we are versus the things that we inherit, or the qualities, the attributes. For example, I remember connecting with a lady, a woman, some time ago, who believed that her worth was measured based on all of the things that she did for everybody else. Now, hear me out, because I think that many of us can relate to that story. Yes or yes? Many of us can can relate to my worth is based on what I do for others. But check this out. This was the first time that I realized that type of value might be something that we just inherit. Because through my conversations with her, what I learned is that nobody taught her that. Nobody sat with her to tell her your worth is based on or is measured based on. She actually had learned that through her environment. And guess who was that significant role model in her environment? Her mother. So through her model, through her mother, not just one time or not just one instance, through 1,000 of micro actions, of micro moments, she had come to the conclusion that the way that a woman's worth is measured is based on what we do for other people. And little by little, that became the way that she thought about herself, about her world, and about everybody else. So the question here is asking yourself, is this mine? Is this truly the way that I think, the way that I feel, or did I inherit that through my life, through other people, through maybe some of my caretakers or the people in my life? Maybe through family expectations, maybe through significant role models in our life, or even other people's opinions as to who you should be in this stage of life. This is the time where we claim, release, and then go. We claim exactly who we are, what's part of us, what makes us come to life, and we become okay with letting go of the rest. That's shedding. 3 steps. Now we pause, we get quiet, and we listen to what comes next, which is hearing, listening, and reconnecting with our own voice. And this might be my favorite stage, even though all stages of the she process has added so much value to my own journey. In this stage, we stop, we pause, we go quiet, and we reconnect with our own voice. Because the 4th step here is to get quiet enough to hear ourselves. And this can be really difficult. I know it was for me. I was so used to listening to other people's voices, to other people's opinions, to all the noise from social media and everything else that tells us exactly who we should become. Because for some reason, people find value in telling you who you should become, right? At least that was my experience. So for me, pausing to get quiet was perhaps the hardest, and with that, probably what added the most value. Step 4 is to getting quiet enough to hearing yourself. Now, here's the thing. We spend decades delegating in other people to add validation to our lives. We spend time and energy, and sometimes we put ourselves last while we're waiting for other people to provide the signal that we need. What do you need? Where should I be? What problems should I solve today? And that noise becomes so loud that our inner voice starts to almost disappear. It doesn't go away, yet it somewhat gets muted in the background. It goes quiet. It goes silent. So that's the practical aspect of this step, is for you to say, I am going to disconnect. And that too was hard. That too can be hard, to separate yourself from your phone, from your emails, from the dependency that other people have to connect with you and to reach you right away. But this step, my friend, calls for you to set some time aside to get comfortable with the uncomfortable of knowing exactly what you want. And in a way, I think, man, I should know what I want. And that's where I was at. I felt almost guilty that I didn't know exactly what I wanted. in a way because I know I'm a role model for many other people. I am certainly a role model for my children. One of them is a woman, and I want to ensure that I'm always connected with what I want, because that is when I know that I'm living the most authentically. So what I would ask of you within this step is to pause, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you can afford in one session, and repeat this a couple of times if needed. But the prompt is this: if I put everybody else aside, what do I really want? What do I really want if I am able to take everybody else outside of the equation of what I want? And start writing. This is the time where you write down everything that comes to mind. This can be freeing, liberating, and an exuberant almost experience. Don't edit it, because you owe it to yourself to be honest here. But that's the beginning of the practice that we're going to formalize a little bit later. Sit, pause, and listen. What do you really want? That's step number 4. Step 5, ask the question behind the question. And this is when things gets real. When things hit the fan and we get real. Let's say, for instance, that you write down, as I wrote when I was doing this exercise, I want to travel more. What I want us to do here is to look beyond that first inkling. For me, it was, I want to know what it feels like to experience myself again, without having to be running and getting supplies for other people or food for a full battalion. What does it feel like taking care of myself and experiencing other cultures, which, by the way, I wrote that as one of the things I wanted when I first graduated from high school and I was attending interior design school. That's how far back this actual ask goes back to. So again, peel the layers of the onion, and for every question as to what you want, I want to see what is underneath that. Here's another one that I've heard. I want to redecorate the house. One of my friends told me about that. I want to redecorate the house. Well, when I asked her what that meant, the conclusion that we arrived at was that she actually wanted to make decisions for the first time around her house. She wanted for the first time in her life to be able to choose accessories and color palettes and candles that smelled the way that she felt that she liked, without having to take other people into consideration. So it was really about creating a space where she felt honored and that she felt that was hers. One of my other friends also shared a want with me when she was completing this exercise, and she wrote, I need to check my notes, I want more time alone, was her request. And as I challenged her to peel back the layers of what that meant, she told me that she too had forgotten what it felt to be on her own, to hear her own thoughts and feelings. She had spent so many years listening to others that she had lost contact with what it meant to listen to herself. The surface, what you find at first surface level, might not be the truth. So what I invite you to do is to go deeper. What does that really mean? For some, might be reconnecting with your sense of adventure. For others, might be reconnecting with a sense of creativity, or even self-love. No matter how you look at it, what I want for you is to be able to sit down and to listen, leaving out what doesn't belong to you, and truly asking the questions beyond the questions, the ones that surface what is truly in your heart and what you truly desire. Now, the E in the She method comes into play, and that is emerge. Let's emerge. This is the phase that perhaps we are all looking forward to. The first two may have been a little troublesome, maybe a little time consuming, because after all, right, we are who we have become after 20, 30, 40 years of being that woman. Now we look at the possibilities. In recent videos, we've talked about the art of reinvention. And if you've missed any of those, I do invite you to go back and check them out because they add a lot of value and we dive in deeply into what's possible. But for the She method and the process of reinvention that we're talking about today, we are emerging. We have agreed to shed what no longer serves us. We listen to ourselves and to what we really want. And now we take all of that, all of those insights, and we convert them into action. And that brings us to step number 6, which is take the small, visible action. Did you see the nuance of that? Take the small, visible action. Now, what does that mean? Let me pause by saying that all of that reflection that we just completed deserves a huge round of applause because that does take a lot of courage and self-awareness. But none of that builds back self-trust. You know what does? Behavior. Behavior builds that self-trust back, that confidence that says, I can trust myself to determine what comes next. I know that I have what it takes. Confidence is not something that grows the way that we wish it did. It's not necessarily something that other people can approve for us, as we probably all well know by now. It is something that you prove to yourself one visible step, one inner action at a time. And this is important here because it doesn't have to be big. It does not have to be massive. It doesn't have to be life-changing like sometimes we are taught to believe. It really doesn't require that we start from zero. In fact, we start from everything. We start from everything that we know. That has shaped who we are today. So we have all of those years of wisdom informing us where we are right now. So what do we do with that? We decide to take action. We agree that the next logical step to build that sense of trust back is to take action. One baby step, one inner action. What might that be like for you? For me, I booked a class. I decided that that was the first thing that I wanted to do to start liberating myself and starting to build that sense of trust back in myself. And I scheduled a class where I was able to work more on my functional training, which I still love. Or you might choose to send a text. You might decide to have a conversation this evening. You might decide that you are going to book a weekend trip, or you're going to have a tough conversation. That can be different depending on who you are and where you are and the roles that you have played that you're shedding and what you have decided that you want for yourself. For one of my friends recently was, I am going to start planning my retirement. And she felt that she had kept her head in the sand forever, but now she felt confident enough to start making those arrangements. And the first thing that she did was to schedule a time to connect with her financial planner, to actually head on take a look at where she was sitting at financially. So step 6, take a small visible action. And step number 7, claim your inner action. This is where the virtual confetti goes up. This is what keeps this whole process in momentum. Map out your next inner action after you have taken that little baby step and you have demonstrated to yourself that you're in it, that this is your journey, that you're claiming it, and start deciding what comes next. When you visualize that thing earlier, I want you to map out 3 micro interactions that connect directly with that which you want. And they might vary in intensity and in the degree in which they challenge you, but that's the first step in getting there. We let go, we listen to ourselves, we're planning where we're headed because this is what we want. Now, what 2 or 3 inner actions can get us there? Remember, this is not a one-size-fits-all, and it's certainly not a one-time exercise. This is and has to be a daily practice, because this is how we build our confidence and our trust in ourselves back. Small actions that might scare you a little bit, but that you know you can do, repeated enough to matter. And by the way, a little caveat that I would add here is, if you need an accountability partner, this is a great concept to include. I did not include it as part of my plan because I do believe that not everybody is comfortable enough to find somebody that might be on their journey with them. But this is a great place to say, get an accountability partner. What an amazing journey has been for me to see other women over 50 who are also transforming their lives and reinventing themselves. So you might want to consider that as well. Okay, so let's get back to it quickly as we start to put the whole she method together. You shed, you name exactly what you're letting go. Then you grieve what it's ending because it's okay. And then you release the story of what isn't yours. You pause, you get quiet, and you listen. You listen to exactly what you want. And not only do you listen there, but you ask the question beyond the question so that you can get deep into it. And the third stage, which calls for action, not just awareness about what's needed, but enough to take one baby step, and then 2 and 3 until they become daily practice, part of your routine. All right, so 7 steps, 1 method, the she method. Now your method. My question to you is, what will you do next? What will you do now? That's your micro interaction for this video. Maybe you'll start by downloading the resource guide. Maybe that's the first thing that you do. Maybe you already did and you're already on that question about what you're letting go of, and that's great. Or maybe you have already completed all of the steps because you're following along and you decide, I'm going to book that class, or I am going to rejoin the gym, or even better, I'm going to use the membership that I have to the gym, or I'm going to go back to the doctor. I have been postponing that for a while, but it's time that I take charge of my health again. Whatever that is, your micro action, your micro inner action for this video is to name it, to name exactly what step you'll take as a next step, and to let me know how I can be of service to you, to let me know how I can support you. So in the comment section, I love to hear from you. I love you to tell me which of the 7 steps you're working on, and moreover, how can I support you? I look forward to hearing from you. We are on this journey together. If any of what we discussed today resonates with you, if it stirred something with you, if you saw yourself somewhere along the way, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Even better, share that with another woman over 50 who is also in the process of reinventing themselves, that can use the little boost or a method. And don't forget to download the guide, that companion guide that comes with this episode, as well as my Jumpstart guide, which gives you also additional prompts for those of you who are on that journey of reinvention and want more. That's it for today. I look forward to hearing how the she method works out for you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until next time, this is Dr. Maria Martinez. Take good care. See you soon.